So the first question, where were you born and were you raised there?
I was born in Rochester, New York. No, I wasn't raised there at all.
Sure.
More detail.
At the age of two, my father moved us all to Leonia, New Jersey, so he could enjoy the big life in New York City.
Okay, so question 2. Did you marry?
3 times. 3, count them. 3 times. I know you want to know the stories, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
The first husband I married in 1960 because I was pregnant. In 1960, if you got pregnant, you better get married or you better leave town and go very far away. So, I had to call up this guy and say, remember me? I'm pregnant. And you should marry me. He didn't think that was a good idea. So I called his mother. And I made her cry.
Aww.
She cried. She said, I've given that boy so much money for abortions. I'm not paying for another one. I'm going to make him marry you. And she did. So I had a sweet little baby girl. As soon as she was born, I said, now I can get rid of this piece of shit. It wasn't really like that, but sort of like that. So when my daughter was 3 months old, he left. And I threw his bed down the stairs after him. We lived in a 5th floor walk-up, and it was a fold-up bed. And it lay on the landing for a month, maybe 2 months. The second husband I married because I didn't want to be a teacher. It was very hard being a teacher. I hated it. I said, this job is going to shorten my life. I said, I better do something so I don't have to teach school. So I thought, I should marry somebody. That's the way women thought back in the 1960s. So I thought, who should I marry? I said, well, the only guy who asked me is a guy that I didn't care for very much because he was boring. But he was the only guy who had asked me. So at 3 o'clock in the morning, I called. I've decided I'll marry you. He said, huh? I said, I'll marry you. So he got an apartment, and we moved in June 1st to save money on the rent, even though our wedding was June 6th or the 7th, I don't remember. During that week's time, I realized I had made a big mistake. It's like company that doesn't go home. Yeah. There he was in the morning. Oh. There he was in the evening, in my bed. There was his toothbrush in the bathroom. I was like, oh, this is a terrible thing. But I didn't know how to stop it because it would have been too embarrassing to tell his parents to go back to California and to give up the apartment. So I married, and it took me 6 weeks to get rid of him. I had to convince him to leave. We had an annulment. The third husband I married.
Period.
The third husband I married in 1965. I had met him when I was 28 and he was 19. When I was 27 and he was 18.
Piece of shit. He was 19 and you were 27?
Wow. No, actually he was 19. Oh. He was 18 and I was 27 when I met him. I met him at a place called the Flea House. Oh, when did I get divorced? I don't know. It always took a while to get divorced. I usually remarried the same year. So for husband number 3, I had the annulment in February, and I married him in. I married him November 17th. Well, the third husband left me for a 21-year-old. We owe her a gift.
Oh my goodness! And you lived in Leonia, the two of you?
Yeah, he bought me this house.
And what?
And then when he left, he took the cat and gave me the house.
Was the child from Leonia as well? The
2 children.
The 21-year-old.
Oh no, she was somebody he met at a chess tournament.
Oh.
You met a 21-year-old at a chess tournament?
She left him the day after he signed his half of the house over to me.
Ah.
Did you have children?
Yes, I did. I had 1 by number 1 and 2 by number 3.
It's like a Chinese menu.
What are their names and current ages?
Number 1, age 50. Number 2, age maybe
Sounds
40.
like that's on the month.
Number 3, age 43.
Okay, when did your children leave home?
Diana left home age 15, but then age 16 for good.
Wow.
And Tommy left home, well, he went to college, then he came back at age 21, but I had the police throw him out for having marijuana paraphernalia, so I guess he was about 21 when he had to spend the night in the bus station.
How about Becky?
And little Becky left when she was 16.
Wow.
See, I have a no smoking and no drinking policy for children. They leave very quickly.
Why did they leave home?
Diana left because she wanted to drink wine and probably smoke marijuana, and I wouldn't let her. So her father sent her to a boarding school, and then she went to Sarah Lawrence College. Tommy left because I told him if he ever smoked marijuana, or if I even found any marijuana paraphernalia, he was out. And I found a marijuana pipe. At first I tried to break it with a hatchet. Didn't work. And then I called the police, and some officer stood here and waited while rolling his eyes while Tommy packed his things and left and spent the night in the bus station before finding a friend to take him in. He left the same year her father left me. That was 1984. I started renting rooms to pay the mortgage. So Becky slept in the attic, and then she charged a carton of cigarettes to my account at the Leonia Co-op, and I beat her over the backside with, I think, a violin or a guitar, which I broke to smithereens. I used to have hormones, you see, Annie.
Some musical instrument.
Yes. And so she moved to Hawaii to live with her older sister, who had dropped out of Sarah Lawrence to be pregnant with a rich man's child.
What was your profession or career choice?
My career choice is failed artist. But I trained to be a failed physicist and succeeded in that. I was actually a physics major until they told me I was never going to graduate from college if I didn't stop, so I switched to art. I thought I could meet a nice husband if I was a physics major.
6.
When did you retire? But I
No,
don't think you're still
Failed artists never retire. You can be a failure at any age, especially if an artist.
You're not getting a typical interview here.
No, I'm hoping they can show the YouTube video at school with a couple bleeps.
What did you do for fun in your childhood?
What did I do for fun in my childhood? Oh, I had a lot of fun doing almost everything. I liked to be naughty. I liked making my sister angry. I liked making my mother angry. I liked playing with my dolls. I liked playing with my dog. I liked riding my bike. I liked playing with my friend Joni. She's taking me out to dinner tomorrow night. What do you think of that?
Oh, wow.
Marcus?
She still live in Leonia?
No, she moved to, I think Upper Saddle River. Senior citizen housing. Crafts, art and crafts.
That was easy.
Talking, eating, crossword puzzles,
Dogs.
Seeing my grandchildren. Seeing my children.
Okay. Okay, so whom do you turn to advice? Who do you turn to for advice or to have a meaningful conversation with, and why?
I turn to my boyfriend, Paul, but he never listens to me. And whenever I ask his opinion, he says, I don't know. Sometimes he says, give me a break.
How is life different now that you work part-time, it says?
I don't work part-time.
Oh, they're assuming. They're making assumptions.
Yeah.
I don't work part-time. I don't ever work. As you can see, just look around my house. Does it look like I work, Annie? Does it look like I work at anything? Have I ever vacuumed the rug, cleaned the papers, washed the dishes, made my bed? No. I work at nothing. I just play. Everything I do for my own pleasure. It's a terrible thing.
You can see all the work all around.
Right, Mookie?
How is life different now than from when you were a child?
You mean, what's it like now that I'm old as opposed to when I was young?
Mhm.
Well, first of all, I got ugly.
You're in my picture. You got
Well,
ugly.
I got
What do you see her
fat.
for? She got ugly and fat.
Third of all, I got old and creaky.
Creaky.
Fourth of all, I stopped being quite so smart. Fifth of all, I lost all my hormones and therefore don't lose my temper so much anymore.
Mm.
Fifth of all,
I lost my memory.
Fifth of all, I stopped caring so much whether people like me, and as a result, they seem to like me more. Because
You're gonna
nobody
feel
likes
like
a needy person, you know.
Actually,
So when you get old, and you just think about your next meal, and when you're going to take a nap next, I don't know. For some reason or other, if you just lead your own life, you have to go set yourself out there. Of course, I do that. But anyway, for some reason or other, I get more invitations now than I did. Although maybe I got some before too. But I like my life now. Excuse me.
Is it a better life than when you were younger?
I think I was pretty happy then, and I'm pretty happy now. I think I'm a pretty happy person, even though I don't show it. Inside, I'm pretty happy. Outside, I pretend I'm not happy. That's so that people won't know.
What would be bad about people knowing you're happy?
Then they take it away, maybe. Who knows? They have to just pretend. You complain. You have to complain a great deal, right, Mookie? That's what you have to do. There's some book, somebody said in China they used to shake their fist at the sky and say, bad rice, when they had a good harvest so that God wouldn't take it away from them. Stupid Oprah has a friend named Maya Angelou who tells people, believe what they say the first time, especially if they say it, but I don't do that. I like to say the opposite. I like to tell people I'm a failed artist, and I like to tell people that I like to tell people that my paintings look like garbage, and I like to say the opposite. That's just what I like to do. And my favorite gesture is this. And another nice thing about being old is that I became invisible. You know, when you're young and you're pretty and you have a figure, you can't walk by a construction site without guys whistling or making comments or people paying attention to you. But when you get pregnant, and second, when you get old, you become invisible. You can walk anywhere and people don't treat you like anything. And in the beginning, it's a shock, but then it's a great pleasure because when you're invisible, you can spy on people and you can do things. You know, when you're young, like you, and this will go on as long as you have hormones. You can't tell dirty jokes or people will take it the wrong way and take advantage of you and say, oh, I thought you were that kind of girl. But when you're old, you can tell dirty jokes. Nobody's going to take advantage of you. It's very nice. Really, everything has its upside, and there are wonderful, wonderful benefits to being invisible. You can get away with an awful lot. Like, you can turn into little old lady Marcia if the policeman stops me. You know, I can just do what I want. And then I can, and it's totally freeing. You know, I can go to art class and people think just I'm another old lady schmuck. And then you can make something really nice and people are surprised. That's very nice. It's really wonderful to the shield of being invisible. It's wonderful being old. As long as you have your health, you know. But it's funny how you get older. I used to think that I would be a beautiful old woman because I'd look in the mirror and I'd have gray hair starting, and I thought, oh, I'll be so beautiful. I'll have this thick hair. It gets thin. And I thought, when I'm an old lady, I won't bend down like old ladies do with their legs spread apart and they bend down so funny. I'll just be graceful like this. Now that I'm old, I bend down like an old lady. Yeah, you get old, but the nice thing is, if you stay in touch with your friends, they're all old too. See, like the boyfriend, I've known him since I was 13.
Really?
How old are you?
I'm 13.
See, when I was 13 years old, I was a freshman at Leonia High School and he was a senior. And he came into the art room and I thought, Paul Binner's very handsome. But he ignored me, just like he does now. It took me a lot of convincing to get him to go out with me after the third husband left me.
How long did it take you?
Well, the third husband left July 4th, and my first date with Paul Benner was July 29th.
How much convincing? That's 25 days.
Well, it took a lot of convincing. And plus, I had to get the ex-husband to sign the house over to me first.
How'd you convince the boyfriend to go out with you?
I called him up again and again and again. And again, and again, and again. And we had known each other a long time because I went out with his best friend for 4 years. So
what turned him around?
I think I need a copy.
I didn't turn him around. He was always his own person. I just sort of grabbed him by the scruff of the neck. As Paul said, well, you have to be a little aggressive, honey. As my son said, you're not the best looking woman, Mom, but I figured out why you're never alone. You don't sit around waiting for the phone to ring. Yeah, it's like getting a job, finding a man. You know, some people are always saying, oh, I wish I could find a job. I wish I could find a job. I've sent out resumes. You know? Or, oh, I wish I had a husband. You know, they sit around waiting. Come on, if they really wanted one, they'd find one. Give me a break. Give me a friggin' break.
If you really want it,
it's like children, you know? Your mothers wanted children, right?
Mm-hmm.
Did they sit around saying, oh, I wish I could have a child? No, they went out and got one, by God, and then they got another one, see?
Mm-hmm.
You get what you want in this world. You don't sit around.
9. What do you consider your greatest accomplishment in life, and why?
I don't think it's important to accomplish anything in life, really. Because, you know, I have friends who accomplished a lot. One of my friends became curator of textiles at a museum, a big museum in New York City. And, you know, she's old just like me. And, you know, I went to Vassar. A lot of people were successful. A lot of people made money. It doesn't really make any difference. You know, they were just, you know, I think my greatest accomplishment is I'm pretty happy. It might have been nicer if I cleaned the house a little bit.
Well,
Basically, I've
paint the
failed at
house
just
again.
about everything. I don't really want any accomplishments. I like being a failure. Is that okay with you?
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. I am a failed artist. I am a failed Methodist. I am a failed wife. I am a failed mother. I am a failed grandmother. I am a failed housekeeper. I'm a failed girlfriend. And I really like to be failed. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Now I can take a nap.
What is your philosophy of life to share?
My philosophy of life is Who gives a rat's ass about just about everything? Who gives a rat's ass, I ask you now? Who gives a rat's ass? Do you give? Do I give? Who gives a rat's ass? Nobody!
Okay, very good.
Do you feel that your life now is satisfying, and why?
Do you think? Do I feel my life now is what?
Satisfying.
Yeah, I like it. I eat 3 squares a day and then some. I have the boyfriend who bails me out, fixes when I need them, and I have my children. I have my grandchildren who sometimes speak to me. I have my wonderful artwork. I have myself. I love myself. I'm pretty good company, and I have my health. Nothing hurts. Things leak, but they don't hurt.
Last question.
Yay.
Okay.
What's on my bucket list? Okay, I'm waiting for the camera.
Oh, sorry.
My bucket list. If I were going to die tomorrow, I wouldn't do anything different than I'm doing today, I don't think. Oh, I know. I'd probably want a party and everybody could wear black. And I could call my children and have them tell me they're so sorry. They could, we could have a little bereavement party. Nah, that doesn't sound right. I'd probably do just the same thing I'm doing today. I don't think I'd do anything different. If I had all the money in the world, I don't think I would do anything different except I would try and bail my children out of their financial difficulties. That's what I would try and do. But as far as
Thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Annie. Thank you for interviewing me. Thank you for having the courage to speak to a failure.